Shall we go down the list quickly of the neutralizers?
Yes, we shall.
That being the first one that I just told you above and beyond the list, because this is the main principle behind the neutralizers, is to realize the illusion and the lies behind the negative beliefs. Because as we said in the beginning, the idea is that the negative beliefs have to work very hard to convince you that you're unworthy, because you know that you are worthy. And therefore, this is all smoke and mirrors. And by demonstrating the idea of the transition from a simple recognition to a complex and quote-unquote scary archetypal presentation in your mythology, you see how the negative beliefs have to work to create illusions when all they really are just standing behind the curtain, pushing the levers, going, hope they believe this one. This is my best trick yet. I am Oz the great and powerful. You understand. And so, let's look behind the curtain.
Yes, and these are negativity neutralizers. The first being remembering that negative feelings are generated by negative beliefs.
When you understand that that's the succession, that you have to have the belief first in order to have any feeling at all, because you have to have a definition in order to know what you're feeling about, then as soon as you have a negative feeling or a feeling that's uncomfortable for you, own it. Don't try to get rid of it. Don't try to ignore it. Own it. You have to acknowledge that it's there, because you can't change what you don't own. But realize that as soon as you have the feeling, you can use the feeling. Remember that the feeling has to come from a definition first. So once you feel the feeling, that can be your first aha. If I'm feeling this, there has to be a definition generating it. Let's find out what it is. What I have to believe is true in order to feel the way I do. And that can help you unlock from the fear and go into curiosity and discovery to find out what that negative belief actually is. And once you identify it, it will automatically appear illogical and nonsensical, and you realize that you simply bought into it somewhere along the way, your parents, your society, your friends, your schooling, and you will realize that it's baggage that doesn't belong to you, and you can drop it. Go ahead.
You can neutralize negative beliefs by remembering that negative beliefs are only beliefs, and they're not actually true.
Everything is just a belief in terms of your physical reality experience. The only things that are absolutes are the 5 laws that we have often talked about. Everything else is just a combination of those laws and an experience of the idea of polarity projections from belief systems as a physical being, because that's what you're made of. You're really made of. Your physical mind is just made of belief systems. That's all it is. They're just filters that allow you to experience the idea of yourself as a projection into physical reality. But physical reality is just a dream. In reality, you are all, right now, still in spirit. You're just dreaming that you're not. That's it. You never leave spirit. It's your natural state. It's what you are. So you are now imposing upon your spirit, upon your consciousness, the dream that you are having a physical reality. And that's all it is. But you're still in spirit right now. So let's wake up and remember that.
Another neutralizer is remembering that beliefs can always be changed.
A belief inherently is changeable when you believe that it is. So this is the skeleton key that unlocks you from any belief, is no matter how hard a negative belief may work to convince you to buy into it, if you just give yourself an opportunity to always take a pause and remember that it is just a belief, then you will always know you always have the key to change it if you truly prefer to. That's the skeleton key that unlocks you from any belief, is just remembering that it is nothing but a belief.
Remembering that all situations are fundamentally neutral.
And again, notice how all of or most of these neutralizers have to do with just remembering these ideas. That's all. And again, remember that the negative belief is going to do its darndest to get you to forget, to get you to not realize that there are such concepts. Remember, we said it will paint these things as if it's something to not pay attention to. So in a fact, the idea of just remembering some of these ideas can, in many cases, be enough to neutralize them just because you broke through the forgetfulness the negative belief was intending to impose upon your consciousness. Just remembering can eradicate many of these beliefs, just remembering these things. And that will put you back into a state of neutrality, which, as we have said, is actually slightly bent always in the positive direction, because neutrality is a state in which you are free to choose, and that's a positive state. So, in a sense, you could say that creation is actually just slightly more positive than negative, because there is a middle state of neutrality that allows you more ease of choosing the positive. And if you just drift in neutrality, even if you just do that, the current of creation will eventually bend you in the positive direction if you do nothing else but just go with the flow. That's a powerful one, isn't it? All right.
Remember that your existence and your worth are more fundamental than any belief.
Beliefs are just the creation of the idea of the physical mind. Your existence is far more fundamental. That, in some senses, should be obvious. And if you exist, that means you have to be worthy, because creation doesn't make mistakes. And if you exist, then that means existence needs you to exist, or existence wouldn't be complete. So you are that worthy, because, again, the things that existence didn't need don't exist. So your worth and your existence are far more fundamental than any belief. And if you just go back to that core remembrance, then the belief will be seen as a secondary level illusion and not a true fundamental truth or reality.
Remember that negative beliefs make positive beliefs easier to see by contrast.
You can use the idea of negativity in a positive way. That's basically what this means. So you're not invalidating the negative belief, but turning it back on itself and saying, well, thank you, negative belief, for being so dark, because by being so dark, you actually allow it to be much easier to see the little light in the distance, which, if things were brighter, I might not have noticed. So in the vastness and empty void of space, a single tiny spark of light is much easier to see because of all the blackness. So you can use the negativity to your advantage and turn its trick around on itself by saying, thank you for showing me the contrast, because many times it's a lot easier for many of you to simply understand what it is you do prefer by being shown an example very clearly of what you don't prefer by contrast. Then you know what direction to go in more easily.
Another neutralizer is that you can remember that negative beliefs are your creation, and that you're always in control, you're always empowered, and even if you're using your power to make it seem like you're out of control.
That's again the thing to understand about the nature of existence and your existence as well, is that there can be no such thing as an actual disconnection from Source. But Source supports you so unconditionally in your choices that you can choose to pretend that you are disconnected. But the paradox is the only way you can actually have an experience of disconnection is to use your connection to create it. So if you remember that you're always empowered, then you will realize and remember that the only way you could possibly have an experience of disempowerment is if you're using your power to create that experience of disempowerment. And once you remember that it's simply not actually possible to be disempowered, again, you will neutralize the negative belief's insistence on your lack of power.
Another neutralizer is if you remember that positive beliefs will never use negative reinforcement, but that negative beliefs will always use positive reinforcement because they are deceptive by design.
Exactly. So always pay attention when they are leading you down the so-called primrose path and painting a rosy picture of something that you know is actually negative, because they have to work very hard to make it seem positive in order for you to follow it. But you can recognize that they are being deceitful because that's their nature to be so, in order to perpetuate themselves, because you know the truth about yourselves, and they have to lie to you to get you to buy into what they're saying by pretending that they know better, by pretending they have your best interests at heart, and then coloring things to make it look like that's the path to take, when really, if you just stood back and looked at what they were doing, you would realize that it's just a path of rocks and thorns that they're convincing you to step on.
Another thing that you can do is you can remember the yin-yang concept, that no matter how dark things may seem, you always have the ability to reach the light.
Within the idea of the polarity in existence, there is always an opportunity, just as in the yin-yang symbol, to recognize that on the dark side, there is always a spot of white. And on the dark side, there always is that, and on the white side, always a spot of dark. So that you know the doorways exist in both directions, and you can always choose. No matter how dark it may seem, you will always know there is a doorway to the light. Always. But at the same time, knowing that no matter how light it seems, you always have the power to choose the dark. This again brings you back into balance, brings you back into the center point, where you can neutralize everything and realize that all choices are just equally valid, and then choose what you prefer with a clear conscience and from a state of balance. So remember that symbol.
Another method is to remember to be okay with the process of discovering what your negative beliefs are, so that you can let go of them.
Many people, again, are convinced by the negative belief that they should be absolutely perfectly spiritual beings by now. Why do these things keep happening to me? What's wrong with me? I should be far beyond this at this particular point. But you see, the process is the point. You will transition at some point from the idea of letting go of negative beliefs to something else. But it will always be a process, so be okay with process, because process is the point of having a physical life. Because you cannot change without the idea of process. In a timeless state, there's no change. Only by creating the illusion of space and time can you go through the idea of discovering yourself from a new point of view. So be happy with the process, love the process, be passionate about discovering through the process, because process is the equivalent of life. You're living a life that is by nature a process of discovery. That's what it's all about. The journey is the destination, the process is the point. So live in the process, live in the now with the process, and it will serve you in positive ways. Let it be okay to go through those processes. The difference will come in this way. At some point, when you are finally willing to investigate all the negative beliefs, bring them to conscious light, and let them go, the process of letting things go will continue, but the way the process then expresses itself is it changes from letting go of negative beliefs to letting go of things that are simply no longer relevant for you in life. They may be positive things, but eventually you will streamline yourself, streamline yourself, streamline yourself by letting go of even positive things that simply are no longer relevant for the being you now know and prefer yourself to be. So the process won't stop even when you let go of all the negative ideas. So please don't turn the process into another negative idea, because it isn't. Or doesn't have to be.
Another neutralizer is remember that negative beliefs belong to someone else and you don't have to carry them.
Yes. As we said, things that are truly out of alignment with who you are don't belong to you. You most likely picked them up along the way. But they are baggage that belong to other people that you've simply been convinced that you have to carry. But because it belongs to other people, that's why it's so heavy. That's why it weighs you down. The beliefs that are true and in alignment for you weigh nothing. It feels effortless. You feel light as a feather. When you start to feel weighed down, that can be one of the clues you're carrying something that doesn't belong to you. So investigate it. Drop the baggage. As we have said, do not steal other people's beliefs and be a belief thief. You don't want to steal other people's beliefs. Drop them and move on and lighten your load. Remember that the first step to enlightenment is to lighten up on yourself and lighten your load.
Remember that you're never alone and you always have help.
You may always be capable of experiencing solitude in a positive way, but you are never, ever, 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 ever actually, truly alone. You cannot be, because you are connected to everything. You are everything, expressing itself as everything, expressing itself as every aspect of itself. And thus you are all the reflections, and they are you. You are never alone. You have help, you have guides, you have friends, you have family on many different levels, and connections more than you can imagine from this perspective. You can always create the experience of solitude, and that solitude will always be respected to give you the space you need to function as the individual that you are, but you are never, ever, ever alone. And the second that anyone knows that assistance is required, assistance is always given. You are constantly, in fact, being bombarded with all the assistance we, your guides, and many other beings and source can possibly give. If you feel that the assistance isn't there, it's not because it's not being given, it's because you are blocking the reception by negative beliefs and buying into them. So as soon as you let go, you will suddenly realize, and in fact almost be blinded with the assistance that is always flowing your way without let up of any kind. So tap into that river and let it flow through you, because it's always coming. It cannot stop.
Remember that you're always loved and supported, no matter what.
Again, this goes to your worthiness. If you were not worthy, you wouldn't exist. So if you exist, you're worthy. And the idea is, therefore, you have absolute right to all the energy, all the support, all the love, as you call it, of all that is, because that is the energy of existence itself. And if you are part of existence, then it is your nature to experience the ideas you translate in your reality as unconditional love and support. It's your nature that you're experiencing when you experience those energies. It's the nature of existence itself translating in physical terms that you call that feeling of unconditional love and unconditional support. It's your nature.
Remember to forgive yourself and others.
Forgiveness is exceedingly powerful as a tool. Here's exactly vibrationally why. Forgiveness is a state of being that can actually mitigate the effects of the consequences of a negative act. You have, many of you at least, heard of the idea that when you die, many people experience what is called life review. Yes? And in that life review experience, it has been reported that what happens, because there are no longer the same barriers between you and another, that you will suddenly start to experience in that life review not only the things that happened visually, but you will actually experience the consequences of anything you chose to do and the way in which others may have experienced them based on your intentions, as if you're experiencing the consequences from their point of view. You understand? So if you have in any way, shape, or form intentionally caused hurt or harm to someone, in the life review, you will feel exactly what they felt when you did that, as if you were them. Forgiveness of yourself forgiveness from others, forgiveness to others, is actually a vibrational state that will actually mitigate the effect of the consequence of a negatively intentioned act. So the more forgiveness you can create for yourselves, the more you can forgive others, the more you are evening the playing field, and the less need there is for you to experience the idea of the negative energy that was initially created by a negative act. It's as simple as that. It is a mitigation cancellation system. That's what forgiveness is as an energy. It's bringing everything back to zero.
Another neutralizing method is to remember that you can choose what you prefer without invalidating what you don't prefer.
The only reason you would choose to invalidate something you don't prefer is if you have a belief that it is somehow more powerful than you are at deciding what you prefer. Because if you have to invalidate it, then you're saying you have to have extra protection. You have to somehow shun it and push it away. But there's nowhere to push anything to. Imagine that because everything is actually here and now, that the walls of existence are right here. And if there's a big spring on the wall and you push against that spring, the only thing you're doing is building up energy in that spring by denying it and pushing it away. So at some point, that energy is going to build up so much, so powerfully, that it's going to pop back at you. It has no choice because it has nowhere to go. This is what invalidation does. But if you simply validate everything, then the springs just sit there. And you go, well, okay, there's this negative spring and there's this positive spring and they're just sitting there and I'm not going to give you undue energy and I'm just going to choose what I prefer. This is what I prefer. That's it. There's no charge on it. This is simply a recognition of what I prefer. That's it. And then you act in that direction. And that's all there is to it. Invalidation charges the thing you don't prefer because it's a negative energy. So if you don't prefer a negative thing, why would you feed it more negative energy? By invalidating it. You're just feeding it, and when you feed something, it'll grow. Don't feed it.
Be willing to be honest with yourself about your beliefs.
Absolutely. In your investigation, do not succumb to the convincing of the negative belief that makes you go into denial that the negative beliefs are there. They're always going to be there for a while. And your excitement in following it will reveal to you any negative beliefs that may be remaining within your personality structure. And that's all right. Just discover them. Don't go into denial about it. If you go into the idea again that, well, I'm supposed to be this perfect spiritual being that has absolutely no negative beliefs, well, then that's a negative belief. Again, it's the negative belief convincing you that you're perfect so you don't have to look at things. But you are perfect anyway. You're perfect as you are. Whatever version of you are at the moment is absolutely a perfect version of what you are at the moment. In the next moment, you may be different, but you will just be a different, perfect version of that. So you're always already perfect, even though you will always constantly change.
Another important thing to remember is don't let fear stop your momentum. If you're going to be afraid anyway, then go ahead and push through it and do what you love doing regardless.
This is just a logical argument. If you're going to be afraid, why not be afraid while you're doing what you love instead of sitting around not doing anything and being afraid? It's as simple as that. You might as well, if you're going to be afraid, be doing something you love to do while you're being afraid. And as soon as you actually start moving in the direction of what you love to do, you will find that you'll be less afraid. Very simple self-canceling mechanism.
Yeah, and if you find that you are experiencing fear, push through the fear. Even though it'll get louder and stronger, that only means it's reaching its breaking point, and eventually it will dissolve.
As we said, negative beliefs have to work very hard to get your attention, to turn your face away from the truth that you're absolutely worthy. So as soon as you start moving in the positive direction, they're going to start yelling as loud as they can. They're going to start banging on drums. They're going to have a 76-piece orchestra trying to get your attention so that you will come back in that direction. So the louder it gets, the stronger the fear feels. should tell you you're really close to crossing the threshold and letting it go, or it wouldn't have to work so hard to get your attention.
And don't forget that if you're the creator of the negative belief, then you are more powerful than the negative belief.
You're the one that created it. No matter though it may convince you that it has power over you, it always knows that you are the creator of the negative belief. And of course, if you realize that, then the negative belief is neutralized. So it will do everything in its power to convince you that you are not as powerful as it is. But if you created it, you have to be more powerful than it is.
Remember, positive beliefs allow you to feel light and free. It's negative beliefs that make you feel tired and heavy.
And again, we come back to the idea of the loophole that while you can lighten your load as you go, if for some reason you are holding on and holding on and holding on and holding on and getting tireder and tireder, more exhausted, and wondering why you have absolutely no joie de vivre, then the idea can be used as a turnaround to recognize that eventually, if you maintain any degree of desire to go in the positive direction, that you will one day become so sick and tired of being sick and tired that you will finally let all of that negativity go. Now, you don't have to do that. You don't have to wait that long. But at least you know that someday, if you're that sick and tired, you might finally be willing to let go of the thing that's actually making you sick and tired.
And here's an interesting one. Drop what your ego wants.
Yes. Know the difference between what you prefer and what your ego is telling you you want. Because more often than not, what the ego wants is what the negative ego is attempting to convince you of that you need, and to distract you from what really would serve you, what would really be representative of what you need, what would really be representative of your joy. It will convince you that you must want this and you must want that in order to be happy. And again, all it's doing in many cases is leading you down a primrose path.
Let go of all of your assumptions and go to zero.
Yes, and we will continue because this will culminate in the final one.
Which is, don't resist change, go with the flow.
And
remember the famous quote.
Pay attention.
It's not what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know that just isn't so.
Assumptions. Negative beliefs will convince you that you know what you're talking about when you don't. So always allow yourself to know that many different kinds of statements that may sound like facts may only be assumptions that are reinforced by negative beliefs to convince you that you know what you're talking about and that you know better than what someone else may be attempting to tell you that could help you. So you will become the ultimate authority. I know it all. You can't tell me anything new. But there's the trap. It's not so much that you get into trouble with what you don't know. It's what you know that just isn't so, because you've been convinced that it's true and it may not be. So always look for the things that come out of your mouth and pay attention to whether they are just assumptions or true statements of your being. Because negative beliefs will make assumptions appear to be facts, and they're nothing again but smoke and mirrors. Now again, these are just a few of the ideas, both negative and positive. It is up to your own imagination to provide whatever may work for you. But the more you allow yourself to look at this list and study this list, the more it will rub off on you the way in which negative beliefs work. You will start to really see behind the curtain, understand the illusions and the tricks, and then start to catch them in the act. And then realize how empowered you are. and then you can move in the direction that you prefer. Nania, did you wish to add anything to this?
I think just that if you find yourself getting stuck in a negative belief, remember to look at this list and work with these
All right.
ideas.
Because you really are not stuck. That's just a negative belief idea. Thank you. In return for allowing us to share this idea with you, we now ask, in what way may we be of continued service in our dialogues?
Sure.
And to you, good day.
I am very excited to be here.
We are very excited that you are there.
For starters, I'd just like to say that Darryl's work and his partnership with you has created lots of expansion in my life.
We are happy to be a permission slip for any and all of you.
Thank you. Recently, I got in touch with a core belief that has created a domino effect in my life.
Dominoes are fun.
Well,
What is this core belief you have discovered?
the core belief is I choose safety to stay out of harm's way.
Because you believe that there is such a thing as harm's way.
Yes.
Do you understand that not being yourself is the most harmful thing you can do?
Yes.
Well then, you are in harm's way if you're not being yourself.
Yes.
So, if you don't want to be in harm's way, be yourself. Follow your excitement.
Correct.
That's the safest thing you can actually do.
Yes.
So,
I've been holding on to that belief unconsciously in some sense for over 31 years
that's
of my
all right,
life.
but now it's conscious, yes?
Yes.
So, is it gone? Or does it still make sense to you to hold on to it?
It doesn't make sense in the sense that I'm going to explain it, and maybe you can clarify.
All right.
My family has become almost absent because of this belief.
Yes, you mean they have removed themselves from your life physically?
Yes.
All right, and so what?
I'm not sure how to process how I'm supposed to respond to that.
With unconditional love, allowing them to choose what they prefer while they, in a sense, let you be who you are by moving away?
I love them. And
Unconditionally, though.
yeah, I just miss them.
But you are connected. And in fact, if you are not experiencing them in their truest form, you're not missing them, you're missing who they think they need to be. Do you understand?
No.
If they are not vibrationally compatible with you, and they move away because of that vibrational incompatibility, it's not the real them you're missing.
I see.
Because they're not being who they really are anyway with you in the relationship.
It's sad. Because,
Why is that sad?
Well, because I've had an amazing experience up until I've brought light to that belief.
And you can have more amazing experiences, they just may look different.
Yeah.
And who knows what they will decide to do in the future.
Correct.
But unless you are willing to keep being yourself and showing them who you actually are, you're not giving them an opportunity to decide whether or not to change themselves to become more vibrationally compatible with you.
Correct.
Well, therefore, why would you prolong their ability to make that option by not going into the state that you really prefer to be in? Why would you do that to them?
I think it's when I begin to miss them. I feel like...
But what you're saying is you're missing yourself. You're missing your true self.
Yes, and that is really what this is coming down to.
Is?
The bigger part is, long story short, when I was a kid,
Yes.
I would...
It sounds like a long story.
Yeah, I knew you'd say that.
When I was an embryo, and then the next day...
This is the best day ever. So I chose safety to stay out of harm's way. When I was a kid, I didn't know anything about being straight or being gay.
Yes.
I just went towards the path of least resistance.
Yes.
Where people didn't want to beat me up because of how I looked or how I dressed.
I understand, but who cares what they think?
Right. No longer do I.
All right, then.
But now...
just because it has become your family, that makes a difference?
Say that again?
Just because now the people are your family, does that make a difference?
What people?
You have said that at a certain point you didn't care what other people thought. But you're saying that because it's your family that's thinking that way, that makes a difference for you?
No, it does not.
All right.
It's just, I
Yes.
met someone very special to me.
Yes.
During a time where I used to be that me, where I thought that I was gay.
And
now this me today
yes.
Doesn't really see myself as gay or straight.
Are you saying you're bisexual?
I don't know. I
Oh,
just
all right.
know that...
It's all right to not know.
I just know that I love this person a lot.
All right. And what does this person feel about that? Or do they know?
They do know, yeah. They're here today.
And what's their response to that?
Very allowing, patient, and understanding.
All right. Well, it doesn't really sound like you're describing any kind of a negative issue.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's just,
why are we having this conversation?
Clarity.
Clarity about something that you seem to be clear about.
Right.
Well, then.
So,
Yes? Is there something hidden in here that's not coming to the surface?
well, that was, you know what?
What?
What triggered this?
Yes.
What triggered that belief? And what triggered that belief was something that had happened to my partner that is surrounded by a lot of fear in our society.
Yes.
And it made me think, it triggered the thought of, wow, I better be me now.
All right. So you used
Because
it in
it was
a positive
almost
way.
taken away from me.
You used it in a positive way?
Yes.
All right. And so, again, you're doing what you need to do for yourself in the proper way, yes? Or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah, I think so. I think
You
so.
think so?
Yeah.
Do you know so?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I do.
Well, then, nice chatting with you.
Yeah. I'm just going to move on from that and ask two more questions. They're short, small ones.
Maybe.
Okay.
When I was a sparkle in my father's eye.
So around July
Yes.
2012,
Yes.
around 11 p.m.,
Yes.
I was outside, and I had an experience. I had an encounter with a craft up in the sky,
And so,
and I was wondering if you can give me any information on that.
I will give you information on that if you will give me information in return.
Okay, I promise.
I will ask my question first and then answer yours if you can answer mine.
Okay.
There is an airport several miles from here. There is a plane taking off now with several people on board. Where is it going? Who's on board?
Could be anywhere, going anywhere.
Where is it going? Where's that plane that's taking off right now going, and who's on board? Can you answer these questions?
It's going to another airport.
Specific.
I don't know.
So what makes you think I know every being in every craft that's flying around your planet?
Well, I've observed you for a long time, and you seem to have been able to answer for others.
Sometimes.
So I just thought maybe you could answer it for me.
Right now, what we can say is, what did you experience by having that encounter?
The first information I got was there's no need to fear.
All right. Then keep it that simple in every facet of your life. That's what you need to take away from that encounter and apply in every circumstance in your life. And that's what the encounter was for.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
All right.
And the last question is, I was in the second grade. I was invited into my...
Well, at least we've moved a little farther along in your life.
I was invited into my friend's house, and I began to smell a very sweet bubblegum-like fragrance, and I followed it curiously, and I felt this this wave go through me, and I remember falling to the floor.
Yes.
And getting up and just sort of not understanding, and I actually didn't even tell my friend that I was leaving. I just ran home.
All right.
In disbelief.
All right.
I was wondering if you can give some insight.
Thank you for those two questions. And in a sense, the answer to both questions is the same.
Okay.
Which is why you needed to ask both of them first.
Gotcha.
And the answer to the question of what you call the craft and the answer to the question of the energy you felt is both were your future self.
Gotcha. Shivai.
Shivai.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
Good day to you as well. So let's see. In doing the work of getting down to your core beliefs and getting rid of any sort of negative experiences that...
Letting go rather than getting rid of, because they'll always be there. It's just a matter of choosing what you prefer.
Yes, well, what has happened is part of that is experiences from other lifetimes come in.
Nope.
Okay, so perhaps you could explain...
Any connection of information that may be coming from another life is being made now from the present. There's no such thing as past lives and future lives.
Understood. It's all simultaneous.
Therefore, at any given moment, you are making the connections that you need for the information you need to assist you in what you're doing in this life. But this is a dynamically changing thing.
Yes.
It's not a static thing.
Yes, this is the question, right? Because I can experience how some of them ended, which is a weird thing about time, right?
All right.
Can you influence it to change that result?
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Since everything already exists simultaneously,
Yes.
yes, you follow so far?
Yes.
There is obviously a version of that where the life ends. There is a version of that where the life doesn't end there. So when you say, can you influence it? No, you can't change the life that ends, but you can shift the focus of your experience to one that didn't.
And therefore, the experience now would be of the one that turned out better, let's say.
Yes, but that's how it works. You're not changing anything of the structure.
Yes.
You're changing your perspective of the structure and getting a different experience.
So what makes this the primary experience now?
You mean this one right
Yes.
now? You mean this one right now? You
Or
mean
that
this
one,
one right
or
now?
that one,
You mean
or
this
that
one
one.
right now? You mean this
Correct.
one right now? It's not the same experience. You're changing billions of times per second.
Understood, but this is my primary experience now. Everything else is acted out is like a memory. I mean, it's no difference.
This is this you. This is this perspective. That's what makes this.
Okay. Yeah, if you just expand it,
Yes.
just do a little bit, it's all happening at the same time anyway. So
You are this you. You are
yes,
this
yes,
perspective
course.
of all
yes.
that is.
Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah. Of course, I knew the answer.
Yes.
All right, one other question. One of these lives had to do with what we call the Orion Wars. Is that related or no?
Say that more clearly.
This lifetime that I've experienced seems to have something to do with what they call the Orion Wars.
The ancient Orion experience.
Yes.
And what about it?
Is that true? Is that the right connection, or is it something else?
You have that connection, yes.
Yes.
So you can use it in whatever way you wish to.
Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah.
All right.
But is it important, or am I focusing on something that just doesn't need to be there?
Well, are you using it in the most positive way you can?
Well, that's the thing. It didn't. I guess it ended badly, so I guess it's something that needs to be dealt with. Yeah.
Define badly, because that's a value judgment.
It seemed to affect others in a negative way as well.
All right, and now you can use that information in a positive way in your life. How?
Well,
You can be as simple as saying, well, I won't do that.
Yeah, I don't do that again, but
Well, then if there's nothing else for you to extract from it, then you don't need to keep focusing on it. If there is something else there of value, then you will keep the connection until it doesn't serve you anymore, and then you'll change it. Do you trust the way your life unfolds?
sure.
Then there you go.
Understood.
Let it go to synchronicity and the organizing principle of timing. And when that connection no longer supplies you with relevant information, it will just stop. You won't think of it anymore, most likely.
Well, others, people, strangers have come up to me and told me about this in a way that has affected them. So I guess that's just
All right.
me making
But that
this
gives
happen.
you an opportunity to do what in response? If you're using them as a mirror
Yeah.
to put your attention to that,
Okay.
how can you use that in a positive way in your response? Maybe it can help you, maybe it can help them.
All right.
So what kind of a response would you prefer to have when people bring that up?
Tell them I'll change it.
Why? Is that all you want to say to them?
Understood.
What else would you like to say?
Yeah.
Can you give an example of what they may say to you?
Well, I don't want to get into details, really.
Just one specific example, keep it short. You're saying someone notices, feels, senses you have an Orion connection. Is that what you're saying in general?
Yeah, and that.
And what do they think that means?
Well, the effect is, you didn't come back. You didn't show up. We didn't make this connection that we were supposed to make. What happened? Where'd you go?
You mean in that life?
No, they're saying it here, but it's related to then.
Are you saying that you made a commitment and didn't keep it?
Something like that. But
Then why did you make the commitment? If
Well,
you knew that you would have difficulty keeping it? Did you not originally want to make that commitment?
oh, I imagine so. Yeah.
Yes, no?
Sure. Yes.
Are you sure?
Well, this is the question, right? So I guess.
Well, then maybe you're just not clear about what really excites you and what doesn't. Maybe you need more clarity about that so that the things that excite you are obviously things that are automatically a commitment because they excite you. And the things that aren't, there is no commitment because it's not who you are. Maybe you need more clarity about what is and isn't you.
Very good.
And therefore the Orion connection can serve you that way.
Very good. Thank
All
you.
right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Have anything to do with ETs coming to Earth? And are you here to help parent it?
To some degree, extraterrestrials, when open contact occurs, will help guide the idea of the creation of AI to the benefit of humanity, yes.
Okay. And why does the US get all the action when it comes to UFOs and Bigfoot sightings? This person lives in Eastern Europe, and despite being very excited, they are not either vibrationally compatible or something because they're not having as much action as we are over here in the US.
This is a fallacy. There is a lot of action around the world, and in fact, the most active place on the planet with regard to UFO sightings is in Scotland. So the idea is that there's a particular portal there that allows for the coming and going of a lot of UFO traffic. The idea that there may seem to be many more sightings in the United States has a lot to do with the denial of their existence rather than the acceptance of their existence. There are many sightings in Europe, many sightings in Asia, many sightings in Australia, many sightings around the world. It's just a matter of how they're reported or if they're reported. So it is a fallacy that the United States has more sightings than anywhere else. It is just a matter of whether or not they are reported.
And this question is, how will we receive the downloads of our human history? Will it be telepathic or by forms of visual media?
You will receive holograms.
Can you elaborate?
you will receive devices in which holographic projections will illustrate the idea of your history, will project the idea of images holographically from your history.
Sounds pretty exciting.
Yes.
Okay, this is an economic question. This person is asking, economies of Western countries depend on consumption that is very often wasteful and unnecessary. Is there any other way to maintain a strong economy? And is it justifiable that within one society we have such an extreme difference in standard of living?
Again, the idea is that eventually your economy will be based on the people themselves, on skills and abilities. That synchronicity will allow you to come together to share with those that need it. So, first and foremost, you will transform your economy into a kind of digital currency, not cryptocurrency, but another form of digital currency. And then eventually you will not need the idea of any artificial exchange. You will allow synchronicity to be what organizes your society in a variety of different ways that will bring what you need to those that need it. This is decades in the future, but it will transform before then into, again, a variety of more balanced ways of exchange having to do with digital currency.
Okay, and while you answered this in the monologue, you may want to elaborate. This person is asking, will you give us some mental and physical strategies to thrive in the midst of the current chaos?
We address the idea that underlying what appears to be chaos, there are patterns that you can search for, but on another level. Understand this is the concept of the swing of the pendulum, going to extremes on your planet. It is about eliminating the idea of responding and reacting with extremism. It is about staying closer to the center. So the idea is to know that the degree of extreme chaos that exists on your planet is to generate a response and a reaction that will bring you back closer to the center rather than going to the opposite extreme next time. So it is all about how much chaos can you take? How much disruption can you take? How much are you willing to abide by until you finally start to make choices that will bring you back to a more balanced and central place in your response to things and your ability to solve situations on your planet in a more balanced way. So you are being given an extreme experience of chaos so that you can understand how to respond to that in a way that will bring you more back, more closer to the idea of a positive, centered, and balanced situation when you've had enough of the chaos.
And then on a personal level, it would be the idea that you'd stay in a positive state or at least go into a neutral state if things are happening that are not your preference.
Yes, of course, because then you will get the benefit out of it. You will be able to have the inspirations to create the scenarios and take the actions necessary to bring your society back into a more balanced and central state rather than going to the opposite extreme, as is common on your planet at this point. Usually you meet one extreme with another extreme instead of going back to the center and balancing yourselves. This is an opportunity to be tired of extremes on both ends, and the idea of then creating a more balanced and reasonable state of being in your society throughout.
And the idea of taking the high road, that's a saying they have on
Yes.
Earth, and the idea that the temptation is to go into an extreme state, that's basically what you're saying, right? That
Yes. The idea is that you usually have a pendulum swing going from one side to the other. It's important to allow the pendulum to hang straight down into the center, to be in a balanced state and swing very little instead of going to the extremes on both ends. which serves you not at all.
Okay. And no matter how bad things seem to look, is contact still a possibility? This person is asking.
Contact, as we have said, is inevitable. It is just a matter of the style of the contact, the way in which it's going to occur based on what's going on your planet. But contact at this point within the next 5 years is inevitable. For one reason or another, it will happen. But the way it happens will be different depending on what's going on your planet.
Okay, and this is sort of along those lines. Does it mean any and all people I can visually perceive now in all different splitting prisms heading towards two different Earths are all going to experience their own chosen way of open contact in the next 5 years since September 2024?
Again, no. There will be some people who will not experience the idea of contact at all, if that is their path. This is few and far between, but nevertheless, it is still possible to experience no contact. But the majority of people on your planet will experience contact in one way, shape, or form.
Thank you. And this question is, will Canada become the 51st state?
Of course not.
Okay. And this person is looking for clarification. You seem adamant that we are our government, but to many, there seems to be a separation. Can you clarify what you mean by this and help dissolve the illusion that we're disconnected?
You already understand it's an illusion that you're disconnected by the very way you ask the question. We say you are your government because you are responsible for the choices that you make in terms of who you install in certain places of authority. So you have to make decisions that are more in alignment and have to choose people that are more in alignment with what your general populace actually prefers. You are your government very actively because you are positioning people to represent you, even though you are also choosing many people who don't necessarily represent you, but you're still the ones choosing those people. So you have to decide how to choose people who are willing to represent what the population of your planet actually prefers.
Okay. And what cultural mechanisms, education, finance, technology, and more, are needed for everyone to live by the formula? How would this impact the isms in our culture and religion?
Again, you will find that people will move toward more of the idea of direct spirituality rather than the religious isms, as you say. The idea of following the formula will impact everything in your society because you will find that there will be paths of least resistance and easier ways, more synchronous ways of doing things. You will be inspired to create new opportunities, new circumstances, new pathways, new situations by which things can be accomplished rather than assuming that they have to be accomplished in a lot of the old-fashioned same ways that you used to. So following the formula will open up the possibilities and probabilities of how you can manage things and get things done, probably in new ways than you have ever thought of before.
And could you elaborate on one of the 5 laws? What you put out is what you get back, especially considering that it's often interpreted in our societies in a penal sense, as if you deserve the harm that you get because of something that you did wrong. Could you shed some light on this?
The idea of what you get back being reflective of what you put out is simply another way of understanding that there is no outside, that everything you do has consequences for yourself because there is no outside. So the idea is that every action that you take in some way, shape, or form will create a scenario, a circumstance, a situation, an energy, a state of being that in some way, shape, or form will eventually create a situation in your life, whether you be still alive or afterwards, that will force you to face the consequences of the choices that you made, even if that takes you all the way into life review when you leave the physical reality. There is no way to avoid any action that you take or any consequence of any action that you take, because there is no outside, and especially in spirit, there is no longer any sense of separation between you and others. Therefore, everything you do, in a sense, is felt by you, experienced by you, even if initially it seemed as if it was experienced by others. So you will experience it one way, shape, or form, because again, everything you do is happening in your own universe, is contained within your own universe. There is no outside to lose anything in.
So the idea would be everyone goes through life review, right?
Yes.
So everyone experiences the consequences and the effects of all of the things that they've done as a physical being in a particular lifetime.
Yes, it is not a punishment. It is an observation. It is a lesson. But it is unavoidable. Because just because there may seem to be a temporal delay in physical reality doesn't mean you have avoided the consequence. Doesn't mean you have avoided the experience. Everything you do becomes part of the fabric of existence in terms of information. And especially after you leave physical reality, after you expand back into spirit, there is no longer any temporal barrier to prevent you from experiencing the direct consequence of every action you have ever taken, even in physical reality. So you will be facing those consequences so that you can learn the lessons and decide for yourself what you would like to choose after that. This is inevitable and automatic for everyone. It's simply the way existence works, because there is no outside. So you cannot avoid anything, not ultimately. You may delay it temporarily in physical reality, but that's it.
So I think one time you spoke about the idea of like a soul being put on ice in a sense, or if the behavior during the physical incarnation has been especially heinous, that there is a way that you're taken through life review that is meaningful and the person can cope with what they're being shown or experiencing?
Yes, it can be handled very gently. It can even be somewhat, quote unquote, delayed temporarily, while a soul may need to rest or heal from intense trauma in physical life. But inevitably, the soul will be repaired to the point where it will then face its life review. But this will be done by the assistance of spirit guides, angelic teams, soul family. You will always have help. And when you are properly prepared, then you will be allowed to experience your life review so that you can learn the lessons and adopt the lessons to yourself so you can make decisions and choices for what you would like to do thereafter. So it doesn't mean it has to happen automatically immediately. Sometimes the soul may require a little bit of healing and rest in the afterlife before it can face the understanding of and the experiences of the life review. So it's always done in a way that will be to the most benefit of the soul.
Yes, that's good. This person's saying, we are God, consciousness, all that is. Ultimately, we are one. I understand this, yet I'm still a bit confused. If we are one, how do we also have individual souls, each with unique dreams, purposes, and missions? Our minds are also distinct. Can you elaborate on how we are both one and the individual?
This is obvious. In the same way that on Earth you may have people working together as a team and therefore have a team consciousness, a team goal, a team focus, and yet the team is made up of individuals who have their own life paths, their own desires, their own preferences, yet you have agreed to work together in a kind of a common direction. So this is not really mysterious. And again, it's not this or that, it's this and that. You are all one, but the way the one can express itself as individual souls. And individual souls, each having their own life path, enhance the ability of the one to perceive and experience itself from all these different perspectives. So just because you are individual souls doesn't mean that you're not also one. And just because you're all one doesn't mean you can't experience yourself as the one, as individual perspectives and individual souls. That's all a soul is a different perspective the one has of itself. So there are an infinite number of perspectives that the one can have, that all that is can have of itself, and each and every one of those perspectives is a conscious being, a conscious soul. That's simply the way it works because everything is consciousness. So a perspective of all that is actually equates to an autonomous individual soul. That's what you are, a perspective that all that is has of itself. And yet it doesn't take away from your autonomy, because every perspective that all that is has equates to an autonomous conscious being.
Because everything has consciousness, right?
Yes, yes. Everything is consciousness.
Yes, right.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Thank you so much for sharing your information with us.
And thank you as well.
What message which comes from diagram?
Which
was
diagram?
That's 12 circles with like a spiral.
You mean the 19 circles?
Oh, 19 circles,
All
yeah,
right.
spiral.
Yes.
That I signed contract which I will experience in my presence on earth, that I'm not gonna be loved.
No.
No?
No, not this life. Those contracts have expired in the cycle of human experience. You have signed a contract that may make you go through the experience of believing that you're not going to be loved, but the contract is not written so that you actually won't be loved. Only that you will go through the experience of doubting that you will.
Oh, I see.
Oh, good.
But thanks. But what comes to me that, anyways, if I just go through experience or I sign contract, that I attract to myself situation in my life
Yes.
that prove to me that I'm not loved, even though I know
All right.
for I love.
But again, proof is subjective and you create the proof.
Right.
So you're just reinforcing the idea of going through the experience of proving to yourself that you will not be loved, but that's not true. You have to look beyond the illusion you are creating for yourself. You must shift your gears and go from the illusion of power and shift to the power of the illusion.
Do
You
have
are
any-
finding yourself lost in the illusion of power. You are believing that the reality is real. It's not. You must use the power of the illusion by knowing it's only as real as you believe it to be. So what you're going through in creating proof that you are not loved can easily be, once again, contradicted by the fact that you exist. Because if you really were not loved on any level whatsoever, you wouldn't exist. The universe would not support you. You couldn't exist. Now, through the idea of the experience of what you might call the expression of human love,
Yes.
you will go through the idea of doubting that it can be possible for you. But that's the experience you're going through, is doubting that it can be possible. And because you doubt it, you will create proof that it's not possible, because every belief system is self-reinforcing. Otherwise, you couldn't experience it as a reality. If your beliefs were not self-reinforcing and self-perpetuating, you would not be able to have any particular experience in physical reality. So if you create the belief that it's not possible for you to be loved, you have to understand that within that belief, a component of the mechanism of that belief will be the proof that you're right. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to really fully experience what you have created. But you have created it. It's not real. Once you understand that, you will move out of it. And you will see that, of course, you can be loved and will be loved in this life. But your journey is to prove that to yourself. Just
Right.
as you are proving that you can't be loved. You
Right.
must now understand that if you can prove you can't be loved, you can just as easily prove that you can.
Yes, you're right, because my guides, they keep saying me that I can express myself just through unconditional love and
Yes.
spread it all over me and
Yes.
just express it to
Yes.
the world.
And again, the paradox is you don't do that in order to get someone else to reflect it back to you. You do it because that's who you are. And when
Right.
you do it because that's who you are, others will not be able to help but reflect it back to you. But don't do it to get the reflection. Do it because that's just who you are, and you have no other choice but to be that you. That's a critical secret. The point of the idea of desire and what you choose is that you choose to be these people because you have no other choice. You must be that person. There is no other choice. So you decide. Be the person who absolutely has the brilliance and the capacity to absolutely prove you cannot be loved, or choose to be the person who knows beyond a shadow of a doubt you can prove just as easily that you can be loved.
Right.
It's up to you. There is no reality other than what you believe it to be. There is nothing outside you. There is no outside. Nothing is happening to you. It can't. It can only happen through you, because you are all there is in your reality.
But
What?
what's interesting that this thought just came to me
Yes.
during this meditation,
Yes.
and I've never thought about it before. So
Good. That means it's working. It means it's bringing up issues. It means it's putting you in touch with belief systems that you can change. So very good. You've used the tool well. It's put you in touch with something you need to deal with.
Oh,
So
I see.
congratulations. Now you can deal with it. But when it comes up, don't apply the old belief system and say, oh, now that belief system that I don't prefer has come up, I'm stuck with it. No, apply the tools again and recognize it's just a belief system, and you can use the same tools that brought it to your attention to change it.
Right.
Because that's all it is, a belief.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So.
Why, thank you. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you so much.
Well,
I have a
yes.
short question.
Yes.
Can you comment raising kids and behaving in a family between parents and especially teenagers?
Well, that's quite a comprehensive subject on your planet. The idea that we will simply say in general, of course, is to understand that what you typically call adults on your planet actually are still children for the most part. And therefore they are raising children and not really capable of showing them what adults should actually act like. So what do you expect? But to simply perpetuate more children who themselves don't know how to actually raise children into adulthood.
So just let them be themselves?
No, not let them be themselves in a chaotic way. Teach them who they really are so they can then be their true selves. Do you understand the difference?
But if we don't know who we are,
But
how
you can
we
learn
teach?
to. Raise yourself, then you can raise the children.
Right.
You understand? I'm just
Yes.
giving you a broad overview because it's a very deep subject that right now in your time frame we don't have time to go deeply into. But generally speaking, you must raise yourself so you can truly raise children into adulthood. But you have to bring yourselves up. One of the strong ways you could do this, if you have any recognition at all, is to recognize that the idea is to nurture what the child's natural talents are in a number of given ways and let them interact and participate in the idea of how to express their talent rather than attempting to push them and mold them into a box. To teach them, let them teach you how they would actually learn best by calling upon what excites them and formulating the things you think they need to learn in terms they're excited to interact with. So you're speaking their language as a person. Don't force them to learn a language they don't understand. Teach them what you want to teach them in a language they do understand, which means a style of approach. that represents how they express their excitement in life, and convert all the things you think it's important for them to understand into those terms, so they will be excited about learning those things, because once you convert it into their terms, they can relate to it and see how it applies in terms of living a loving, fulfilling life. Does that make sense?
Yes. So if for some reason I don't like the behavior or how my kid is acting,
yes,
I have to just
engage them
right.
in a conversation and allow them to explain the reasons why. Help them learn how to get in touch with the reasons why they are choosing that behavior. Because when you allow them to tell you, when you help them get in touch with the reasons why they are displaying that behavior, they will be able to explain to you why they made that choice. And you can discuss with them the concept of choices and consequences, and let them understand that you treat them as an intelligent being that learns the difference and understands the concept that there are consequences to choices, and let them understand they don't have to make choices that society says they have to make, that they can learn how to expand beyond society's definitions to make choices that will truly allow them to express who they are in life, and they can live fully by doing so. But it will take perhaps learning on both of your parts. You may have to raise each other.
Thank you so much.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Well, we love you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Bashar,
Yes?
I have been taking photographs of orbs for the last year.
Orbs, yes.
Yes, and I'd like to gain more insight and clarity from you about who
Oh,
they
all right.
are, why they're here.
Well,
What
there
is their
are a
message?
variety of reasons. Generally speaking, you might call them nodes of consciousness. Some of them can be manipulated and utilized almost in the sense of probes to gather information. Do you understand?
Can you say more?
It is a manipulation of the idea of certain kinds of electromagnetic energies pitched at certain frequencies, so it can be remotely manipulated to gather intelligence and information about certain scenarios on your planet. Sometimes you will be sensitive to seeing them with your physical eyes. Sometimes only your camera equipment will be capable of actually registering them at that frequency. But they are manipulations of electromagnetic energy consciousness at a certain pitch, in a certain pattern, that allows them to remotely gather and send vibrational information. That is one way what you are experiencing is expressed. There are other ways as well that are similar to what I'm saying, but they're actually more self-directed rather than being directed remotely by others. In that sense, they are actually manifestations to some degree of intelligences outside your dimensionality that are capable of manifesting a part of their consciousness in your dimension through their focus and interest in your dimension. So they are still gathering information and learning and exploring, but they themselves, those orbs are themselves a representation of an actual intelligence rather than simply being remotely used by an intelligence. But the manifestation is similar as an interface between one dimension and another. Does that make sense?
It's starting to make sense. And so I'm wondering, are part of these orbs, could they be my guides? Can you show up as an orb in a camera?
I can and I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Are my guides? My understanding is that
Sometimes.
some of my guides are showing up.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. And I'm noticing that they do show up more when there are a lot of people and when there's an energy of joy
Yes.
in the room. I'm noticing
Well, that
pattern.
vibration is more conducive to the interdimensional interface becoming more crystallized in a way that you can perceive it. Because the more you match the frequency of the dimension that they may be coming from, the more you will be able to perceive the manifestation from that dimension. You're matching their frequency. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right,
And
and
so I'm wondering if there's any way I can use them to serve me, to serve the planet. How can I
well,
be
ask
working?
them.
Okay.
Ask them
Okay.
and see what you get.
Okay.
You can apply that question to the tools we have also shared with you today. When you use the spiral and go into the center, you can ask the question and see what you get, and then pay attention to your dreams as well and the synchronicities in your life. Very often, please understand, all of you, when you ask questions of guides and other beings that might have connections to spirit dimensions or other frequency dimensions or domains, very often the answers you get will actually play out more likely in the synchronicities that occur in your life than in an actual voice in your head. Because the things that are going on in your reality, the props that are already in your reality, are already in front of you. They're already, shall we say, commanding your attention. So it's easier to deliver a message using the props that are already in front of your face than it is to divert your attention to something and some methodology that you're not used to getting. I'm not saying it can't happen, but the easier way often to deliver a message is when you're not really paying attention or looking for it, and just let the things in your life, in a sense, carry the information to you from the other dimension. It's easier to get your attention that way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes, thank you. Just
Yes.
one more tweak.
Oh, tweak.
Yes.
All right.
The orbs show up on my camera all the time. They've started showing up for my mom, but I have other friends who have the exact same camera and they're not showing up on theirs. So
Yes.
how does...
Well, again, it has to do with frequency and vibration. I'm not saying every camera has the capability. It has to do also with the receptivity of the vibrational state you create in that encounter. Because remember, you and the camera are also moving into that state. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The camera is an extension of your senses. And if you are more synchronized or harmonized with the intelligence coming through from the other dimension, then you will take yourself and everything with you closer to that vibration. It will be easier in that sense to record that encounter. Do you follow?
Yes, thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Last night I had an encounter with an extraterrestrial who,
In what way?
when they spoke to me, they were actually singing in a very joyful manner, and I was feeling intense vibration.
Singing.
And what they said was, repeated several times, was Solo Han, and then said planet, and I kind of, in my mind, said contact, and it said yes, and then it was over.
All right.
So
They were using an archetypal symbol that you are used to in your reality that they knew would be easier to reach you through. You understand the name they gave you as it is represented in your science fiction mythology?
what I found with quick research was, I know what Solo meant. Han was a almost extinct language from the...
It has double meaning, but Han Solo is a character in your Star Wars mythology.
Yes.
And so they knew that because your mind was attuned to that, it would be easier to get you to recognize the transmission and what they were by using an archetype that you would identify with that kind of reality, as well as the other meanings that it has. These messages are never delivered with a single meaning. It's always multidimensional. So, Han Solo is representative of the character to get your attention on a certain level. Han also being representative of the multilingual idea, which represents multidimensionality, multi-intelligences, multi-expressions. And contact, meaning yes, you are actually in contact with an intelligence, and we're in that sense able to let you know that by being able to activate the portions of your mind and your memories and your archetypal understandings that are tuned to our frequency more easily. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It's simply like knowing what channel, what frequency your radio operates on and making sure that the message is sent on the same frequency. They stimulate those portions of your archetypal energy that will be able to perceive that they have been stimulated, that a message has been sent. Make sense?
Yes.
So, how did that feel?
Very amazing.
Oh, more amazing. Yes. Does that help you?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, at this time, we would like to take you through one short, final journey with regard to this information. So everyone become comfortable. Close your eyes if you wish. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. Don't let it out. Don't let it out. Don't let it out. Now let it out. All right. Now, when I say the following words, one at a time, with each utterance, with each word, just let yourself and your imagination associate whatever feelings, sounds, colors, people, situations, ideas you wish. Just see what comes up for you. Whatever comes up for you, vibrationally, feeling-wise, picture-wise, when each of these words are said, will begin to give you a clue as to what belief systems you may hold in your core to be true, and will give you some material to work on. So, one at a time, just pay attention to what you get with the following words. Desire. Just let yourself observe the full spectrum of all your responses and reactions to the word desire. See what comes up. Desire. Desire. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Definition. 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 Take a deep breath in and let it out. Dedication. 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 Take a deep breath in and let it out. Detachment. 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 Take a deep breath in and let it out. As part of the overall tools, with everything else we have said this day of your time, when you are in the appropriate, creative, playful place to do so, in whatever way you wish, write these 4 words down and display them in your home or wherever you wish to remind you of your desire to define your dedication to detachment. No expectation, but allowance, allowance, allowance. Have fun with these exercises. The more fun you have with them, the faster they will expand. and the more you will recognize how much fun you deserve to have. Our unconditional love to you all. Good day.